Hello and welcome to Let's Play Grand Prix Legends. My name is Danny, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, isn't there somebody that's already created a series of Let's Play videos about Grand Prix Legends? And yes, it's true. GP Laps on YouTube has his own version of this format. It's called Let's Race Grand Prix Legends. My videos are going to follow a very similar format. There's going to be a few key differences, however. First of all, I'll be discussing a bit more about Grand Prix Legends, the game itself, and less about the history of each particular Grand Prix. Second of all, I'll be trying to throw in some non-career races from time to time. What this means is that once in a while I'll just pick a random year, 65 through 69, and I'll pick one of the cars to race in, and I'll go to a track that the cars either wouldn't have raced in that particular year, or perhaps one of the fantasy tracks that the cars wouldn't have raced at ever. And I'll just run a race there just for the heck of it, just kind of to break things up a little bit. And that'll give me an opportunity to sort of showcase some of the different mods, some of the different downloads or tracks that you can get for Grand Prix Legends that have been created by the GPL community. The third big difference is that because there are so many different mods, so many different sets of graphics and things like that, there will be some noticeable differences in the car sets and in the graphics themselves from one track to another, and that's just again to kind of showcase that there are different versions of each track that you can get, and even different versions of the graphics for a particular track. I'll also be driving different cars than the videos in the GP Laps videos. I believe that in the 65 season he started out in the Ferrari, and then toward the end of the 65 season he switched to the Brabham BT7 and later the Brabham BT11. I'm going to be starting out, I'm going to be driving the Honda RA272 for the majority of the 1965 proper season, but because Honda didn't have their car ready until the Monaco Grand Prix in May, I will not be using that car until that race. Instead, I will be driving the BRM. There are probably some other differences that I don't know about yet, and or that I just have forgotten to mention, but we'll get to those when we see them. That's about all that I want to say about these videos, because I'd like to move on to this first race. The first thing that I wanted to note about this first race is that I'm actually starting with the 1964 Rang Grand Prix at Kyalami. This was a non-championship race run in South Africa at the Kyalami circuit. It was run a few weeks before the official start of the 1965 season at the East London circuit, also in South Africa. I'm including this race mostly because the cars that would have been on the grid were the 1965 cars anyways. There are a few differences between my race that I'm going to have here and the real-life race. First of all, because of the way that I had to set up the car set for this race, Graham Hill and Jackie Stewart are both going to be driving the BRM, but in the real life, Graham Hill would have driven a BRM-powered Brabham, and Jackie Stewart drove a Team Lotus Lotus Climax. Now, because this is a non-championship race, Jim Clark, Jack Brabham, John Surtees, a lot of the big names from the 1964 and 1965 seasons were not at this race. It's actually a two-race event. It was two 25-lap races, and the winner was determined by the overall time between the two races. I'm running a short format, so both of my two races will actually only be 4 laps. With that, let's take a look at the grid for this first race. Okay, so here's the grid for the first race. Mike Spence on pole with a 1 minute 24.59. Starting second, Graham Hill with a 1:24.73, and third is Jackie Stewart with a 1:25.13. I will be with Dannykarnage here, that's me. We'll be following the career of Dannykarnage throughout this series. I had a poor lap, 1:26.47, a full almost 2 seconds behind Mike Spence's pole time. I was on for a faster lap right at the end of the session, but missed a shift coming through the final kink on the track, and just unfortunately lost the time right there, and was not able to put in a faster time. I think that's it though. Let's get started with this first race. Alright, here we are in the car for this first race. Iran Grand Prix 1964. Car in gear, flag is up. And we're off. Really good start, but getting bottled up here by the cars in front. The unfortunate part about starting in the middle of the pack is that can happen. Get a really good start, but can't go anywhere. Got to brake a little bit early for this first corner. I want to get into trouble with the traffic in front of me. Got a car to my outside. I can hear him. Just can't see him right now. Again, braking a bit early. Lots of traffic. I don't want to get caught up in the accordion effect. Sounds like there's a car in the grass. So I made up one position there for sure. I think that's it. I think I'm sitting in 6th now. We'll have to see. I'd like to be able to get up to 5th place in this race. I think that'd be a good start in my first race. And with it being such a short race, I don't know that I can expect to get much further than 5th place. I should mention there's some added difficulties that I'm dealing with this race. And first of all, I've not ever had to race while talking, or at least not race while recording, so this is a bit of a new experience for me. Hopefully it won't be too distracting. I shouldn't throw me off too much. The other thing though, the bigger issue is that just yesterday I got a new wheel. I got a used Logitech G25 wheel, and I haven't gotten used to the H-pattern shifter just yet, and heel towing it. Still working that out, as you can see. I think talking about it made me lose my concentration a little bit, or maybe I was overthinking it actually. It looks like I'm in 6th place. Let's see if I can't get one more position out of this race. Through the sunset bend. I really should be taking this in 4th gear instead of in 3rd. The BRM from 1965 was a 6-speed. I know that the standard Grand Prix Legends, the 67 cars, the BRM was the only one that was a 6-speed. The rest of them were all 5 speeds. And on this particular track, I'm really only using 3rd through 6th gear. I sometimes go down to the 2nd for the hairpin following sunset bend. Such a short race. I mean, with 2 laps into it, we're already halfway done. I have to really push if I'm going to want to get up to 5th place for this first race. On this long straightaway, I absolutely love this track. I've been a big fan of Grand Prix Legends for years. And whenever I pick it up, if I've been away from it for a while, this is the track that I'll use to get used to driving again. It's such a familiar track. It's got a nice mix of fast corners and slow corners. This fast corner right here, for instance, followed up by the long sweeping sunset bend right here. We're down to 3rd again. You can not be doing that. Then you come up to this slow hairpin type corner. It's just such a nice track. And thankfully there's also plenty of opportunities for overtaking at this track too. Lots of good places to outbrake cars. Really enjoy this track. Getting some pretty bad frame rate issues right now. I hope that doesn't show up in the video. Apologies if it does. 1 lap to go. Looks like I did catch Joe Sifford, I think this is in front of me, but I'm not sure. Actually, it's Frank Gardner. I really would like to get 5th and see if I can get past him here this last lap. Much better into that corner this time. I'm definitely catching him. Question is, can I get past him? A really good run under that corner. I'm going to get by him right here. Tight quarters. It looks like I cleared him. Into Sunset Bend. Only down to 4th gear that time. I finally remembered. Looks like I've got my current teammate, Jackie Stewart, in front of me. I say current because, like I said earlier, we'll be switching to the Honda once we get to the Monaco Grand Prix. Looks like 5th place is what I'm going to wind up with. Not bad. Picked up 2 positions for the quick race. I'll take that. There's race number 1 in the books. Now, since there is a second race, I am going to just park it right here rather than taking a full cool-down lap. We'll check how the results for this first race are. And here we have Graham Hill. Actually took the win that time with a 105.7 mile-an-hour average over Mike Spence, the pole sitter. So those two swap positions after the start. And Joe Siffert in the Brabham comes home 3rd with a 3.83 seconds behind Graham Hill, and I finished in 5th place. That's it for this race. I'm just gonna go and qualify again, reset the field for the second race, and we'll be back for the second race. Alright, here we are for the second race. This time Graham Hill has taken pole and Mike Spence is going to be starting second, but only 3/100ths of a second between the two of them. I had a better qualifying session this time round, and I am going to be starting in 3rd next to Jackie Stewart in 4th. So with that, let's get started with the second race. Alright, in the car for the second race. Starting 3rd, this time I don't have anybody directly in front of me. Obviously the front row is in front of me, but hopefully I won't get as bottled up as I did the last race. Good getaway. The first made a bad shift though. Brabham got back, or I'm sorry, Hill got back past me. Trying to give Mike Spence plenty of room. I know I was braking a little bit too early for that first corner. It looked like he was going to dive up inside me. He backed off, gave me room. Right on Graham Hill here. See if I can get him going into Sunset Bend. No, not going to happen. If that had been for 10th place, I might have gone for it, but going for the lead, I'm already in second. I don't want to risk good finishing position. Not that I'd really want to risk 10th place either, but a lot more on the line, it seems like, right now. Still second place though after the first lap. It's looking good. Might be able to get on the podium for the second race. Not that that matters. The overall is what matters. I don't think that second place, I don't think that my time would be good enough to get me on the podium overall. 3 laps to go. So I get into the corner too deep again. Oh, this shift. Accidentally shifted to second when I meant to shift to 4th. Really overrevved the engine there as a result. Oh, I did it again. Shifted to 3rd instead of 5th. It's got to be torture on the engine. I need to settle down, concentrate on what I'm doing here. There again, that's in a large way me not being used to this H-pattern shifter. I've always used a sequential shifter. me any. Spence is right back on me again. He's going to have a really good draft on me. Right in my slipstream. I'm going to go to cover the inside lane. Oh, right next to that wall. And Spence got by me. I think Stewart's on my outside right now too. Yes, he is. Kept Stewart behind him. See if I can get back to Spence. I think I've got the speed, I just need to have a little more consistency. Got a really good run into the sunset bend here. See if I can take him back on the hairpin. Don't have the room. Just a little too far back. Hopefully I can stay right on him. Get a good slipstream going down the straightaway. Maybe overtake him again going into turn one. Only one lap left. I am right there, right in his slipstream. See what I can do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get close enough by the time we get down to turn one. Catching him. I have to brake a little early though because I've got so much more speed than usual. A good runner of the second corner. Right on him now. And I got him going into the sunset bend. Such a good place to pass, but it's such a tricky place to pass. You gotta really work to keep the car in balance. Looks like one more corner here. One more braking point. Didn't flip the throttle right there and almost lost the back end when I was downshifting. Whew. That race was a lot more work. There it is. End of race 2, second place. Wonder where that'll put me in the final standings. Again, final standings are determined by the overall time for each driver. I think Graham Hill won both races, so I'm sure he's going to be the overall winner. Hard to take first place if you don't win both races. I think it's going to end up being a question of how much further ahead of Jackie Stewart I was on this second race, whether or not I get onto the podium. Looks like Joe Siffert and Joe Bonnier were significantly further behind me. So I think I probably kept them behind me in the final standings. But we will see. Really proud of that pass that he made on Mike Spence in the last lap. He really crowded me over going into the sunset bend. Like I said, it's a really good place to pass because there are a lot of different lines you can take into that corner. But it's you got to really make sure that you're not going to slide out into the car that you're passing. Here's one of the things about Grand Prix Legends, the different graphics sets that you can get, the different mods. This wall actually doesn't exist in in the original version and on various graphics sets. It's just kind of added into this graphics set that I have, but it doesn't actually exist, so you can drive right through it and it doesn't hurt the car. I try to at least acknowledge the fact that the wall is there in my version and not go through it. Let's see how the standings are for the second race. Alright, so here we are at the final standings for the second race. Graham Hill takes the win, like I said, and I'm sure he'll have the overall win. I finished second, 3.14 seconds behind him, so a BRM 1-2, and Mike Spence in the Lotus, 3.7 seconds behind Graham Hill. So here we have the final results, and as we expected, Graham Hill takes the overall victory with 11 minutes 32.560 seconds for his total time. Mike Spence in the Lotus gets second place, 11 minutes 37.780 seconds, and Jackie Stewart rounds out the top three with 11 minutes 41.470 seconds, just narrowly beating me out for the last spot on the podium by 0.13 of a second. So that's good to see, all three BRMs there in the top five. Wish I could have joined my two teammates on the podium, but just wasn't meant to be today. And still, you know, can't complain about that. Fourth place in my very first race is certainly nothing to be upset about. From here we move on to the South African Grand Prix at the East London Circuit. It's a really great track. I thoroughly enjoy racing. There's plenty of places you can pass, lots of places where you can get alongside of an opponent and try and outbrake him going into a corner, and just a really good track overall. It's a lot of fun to race at that track. So in the meantime, like, subscribe, leave me some feedback in the comments. You know, this is the first of what will be many videos in this series, and if there's anything I should be doing differently, ways that I can make the videos better, just let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate the feedback. But until the next time, I'll see you at the South African Grand Prix.